All right, hello everyone. Today we're going to be discussing different design styles, and we're going to continue on the different types of logos from last week. All right, and we're discussing design styles because it's one of the ways that you can actually understand how different visual styles work and how to find different visual styles or visual elements from visual styles. So for example, there's a grunge style. If you're trying to find a grunge element, if you want to have a grunge feel with your design, you know that what you should search for on Canvas should be grunge, and then you find grunge elements. Or if you're looking for something art deco related, or those kind of things. So I'll show you those different design terms. Sorry, not design terms, design styles, so you can be familiar with what they look like, so that when you're trying to find something on the internet or find something on Canva, you know what to search for. Okay. Before we do that, I'm going to share my screen and we'll continue from different types of logos, and then we'll make it a day. All right. And then I'll go over a few of the assignments, and then we'll continue from there. All right. All right. So number 5 is mascots. Do you have any questions before I continue? No questions. All right. So mascot logos are usually logos that are illustrative, right? And you usually be like a character. So many times they're usually very colorful, cartoonish, fun. And they're like many times like a visual representative or a comic visual representative of a brand, right? Sometimes some brands have their logos and they still have their mascots. All right. But for some brands, the mascot itself is the logo. Okay. The mascot is the logo some other times. All right. So KFC is very obvious, and Mr. Peanuts, right? Or like the Kool-Aid Man as well. So these different brands have used the mascot as their logos. All right. When do you want to use picture and symbol logos, for example? A pictorial mark can be tricky because if you have an established brand, right? But there's no strictness to it, right? So you can use brand marks to your advantage when you want to convey what your brand does without actually having to like give people room to think too much. So imagine that I want to do like maybe an airline, right? And the title of my airline is David Airlines, right? And I just write DA, right? People might not know what the brand is. But if I do DA with some wing related type of elements, people would know that this is airline is an airline related organization. But sometimes when maybe you're trying to develop a brand that has a conglomerate, so it does many different things. For example, look at Virgin. There's Virgin Airways, Virgin Atlantic, Virgin Galactic, Virgin, different Virgins, right? But the Virgin logo itself is very, very, very plain in some sense. It doesn't convey any pictorial reference to anything. All right. So you can use pictorial and abstract marks when you also want to do like global commerce. Like if your business name doesn't really translate what your business does, you might want to use a pictorial or an abstract mark that can also convey the same elements. All right. So let's move on to another. Yeah, I was going to say another challenge with the mascot logo. For example, if you look at this, right, if you want to translate this to black and white, it can be very difficult because it's not simplified. I mean, this can work if you simplify it to black and white, there's a possibility, but it's more difficult. And so many times people that do mascot logos have to spend a lot of money on prints. And let me explain what I mean. Like I said, remember when I was explaining CMYK, I explained how different when I was explaining CMYK, I explained how different elements, different colors form one color, form like a full colored image. So where you have an image of an orange, for example, right, there's CMYK in different values to form the picture of the orange that you're seeing. And so for some brands, where imagine you have to print 1,000 or maybe not 1,000, 100,000 flyers, right? And then 100,000 tags for your brand. And then the color of your brand is just one color. You're literally going to spend so much less than someone whose brand logo can only be portrayed in full color. Do you understand? There are brands that they can be portrayed in black and white and color, and you will still be able to tell that they are the same. But for example, Instagram can be colored, Instagram can be black and white, and you will still know it's Instagram. But some brands cannot do that because of the nature of their logos. Okay, so mascots usually have that feel many times when you have to, because there will be gradients, there will be, feels, all those kind of things. So it can be difficult when you want to replicate those kind of logos in simple terms like black and white, or like on like engraving type things. If you want to engrave it, for example, if you want to engrave a logo, there's no color. You're literally just engraving a shape. Okay. And if you're engraving a shape, if when I engrave a shape, I cannot tell what it is because there are several elements inside that cannot show because the engraving cannot permit it to show, then it's going to be a problem. Okay, so that's another thing that you want to look out for before you finally decide what you want to. For example, look at MasterCard. MasterCard is red and yellow with orange in the middle. Okay, it won't work in black and white except you have shades of gray. So I mean, when I say black and white, I mean single black and white. But MasterCard is a rich brand, so they can afford to print color every single time. Okay, or except your brand is not except the brand is not the kind of brand that you need to print for. All right, so those are things that you want to think about when you are designing a logo for your clients or even for yourself. All right. A combination mark is a mixture of a word mark or letter mark and a pictorial mark or an abstract mark or a mascot. So it's basically a combination mark. So where you have text either as a full text or either as word mark or letter mark alongside a pictorial mark or an abstract mark or a mascot, there you have a combination mark. So it's a combination of a visual element and a text element. All right. So this is one way where this is something that many people do, because sometimes you can actually separate the name from the icon. You can separate the icon from the name. Sometimes, right, it doesn't work every time, but most times it's better to just stick with both of them together. All right. Lastly, it's called, is that the last one? I think so, yeah. Last one is the emblem. All right. It consists of fonts and symbols on an icon, and they usually come in form of like badges and seals and crests. They tend to have a traditional appearance many times. So when you see something like this, you already have a good idea of the kind of feel that you're getting, because it has this idea of old and traditional and standard and long lasting. That's why almost every university uses a crested logo. Football clubs use crested logos most of the times, all right, because they want to have this sense of heritage. So when you have brands that are heritage conscious, many times you can think in the lines of emblems. Okay, so for example, the auto industry is very fond of emblem logos. Why? Because they have like a classic style and they want to many times modernize like the traditional emblem to look 21st century. So see how Harley Davidson motorcycles is like a modern version of the olden style of like traditional emblems. All right, so basically that's what an emblem looks like. Many times it usually has a shield, a badge, a crest, those type of things that are very much more stylized than the regular pictorial mark. Okay, so that's it basically. Any questions before we proceed? No questions. All right. So before I go into different styles, let me go over some of the assignments. And then I'll make comments, and then I'm going to move into the assignment that we did for today. All right. Any questions at this point? Any comments? Anything that wasn't clear? No. All right. All right. All right. So I'm opening different works now, and then we're going to be going over them, and I'll be making comments about them and two things. One, I'm going to be making comments on the functionality of the design, and I'm also going to be making comments based on how well the instruction was executed. All right, because as a designer, your role is not just to design something nice, your role is actually to do what was instructed. Okay, so that's another thing that you need to be careful for so that you don't overdo or underdo. Okay, and yeah, it's possible to overdo. All right, so I'm going to share my screen very soon, and then we can go over the assignments really quickly, and you can make comments. I'll make comments on the different designs. I'll let you know what I think about them. All right. All right. I think today is someone's birthday on this group. Is she here? Sadly, she's not. Today is her birthday, of course. She's turning up. Today is Thelma's birthday, so in case you see her, you can say happy birthday to her in the group. So I'm going to share my screen now. Where do I start from? Now, if you remember the assignments very clearly, I asked you to design something relating to using, I asked you to design 4 different logos based on the 4 different styles I taught in class. So monogram logos or letter mark, word marks or logo types, pictorial marks or logo symbols, and then abstract marks or abstract logo marks. All right. So obviously this is the letter mark, right? And letter mark because you have the initials of the brand EMO. Okay. Now this is a very clean watermark. Sorry, not watermark, letter mark. Okay. For a letter mark, you typically avoid any other elements apart from the letter mark because it will be difficult. It will be, they are literally already adding a whole nother element onto the letter mark itself. All right. So my suggestion would be, I mean, this is going to work as well, right? So it's not a problem of if it's because obviously it's legible, you can see the EMO very clearly. All right. Now, another thing that I mentioned that I'm going to teach you now is allowing your logo to work in every possible scenario. What that means is, can I convert your logo to black and white and it will look the exact same the way it was in color, right? How do we find that out? Another thing about logos, when you're designing logos, keep your background white, all right? The reason why is we're basing that on the assumption that we're printing the logo on paper and we're going to see what it looks like. Okay, so keep your background white. Also, remember and realize that your logo should be able to work well on different surfaces or different backgrounds. So for example, if your logo is black, it should show on white paper. I can change the same black logo to white when I want to use it on a black background. All right. Or if it's yellow, it will show well on a dark background. I can change the color to whatever color I wish, depending on the surface that I'm, or the color that it's on top of. Okay. Now, the reason I'm saying this is when it's time to use your logo in your design. Okay. When it's time to use your logo in your design, you want to be able to use your logo on different colors of backgrounds. You want to be able to use your logo on a background that is not white, on a background that is patterned, on a background that is colored, on a background that is gradient, that's a gradient. Okay, that is how you can make your logo powerful and multidimensional, like useful in different scenarios. All right, and then when you're going to mock up your logo, which I'm going to teach you later on in class, when you want to mock up your logo, if your logo cannot stand alone on its own, it's going to be difficult to mock it up on different surfaces. Is anybody lost at this point? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Sorry, stand alone in what sense?
Stand alone in the sense that when I say stand alone, I mean like I don't mean stand alone as far by itself. I mean stand alone in the sense that it can work well on different types of backgrounds. Let me show you what I mean. All right, so I'm going to create a new page. I'm going to share my screen now so you can have an idea of what I'm saying. Or, you know what? Sorry. I'm going to find an assignment of someone from one of the last, from the free class. And I'm going to make reference to her design because she did a really nice logo that I can make reference to for this class. Sorry, just hold on. Does anyone have any other question while I'm trying to find this? Okay, I'm almost there. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen now. All right, can you see my camera screen?
Yes.
So now look at this logo, right? This logo is literally a letter mark, right? Because it has all the text and then RTW and just these two nice things around. Okay, and it's really simple, straight to the point, and it works. Okay, now when I say your logo should be usable on every possible background, is for example, if I change everything here and I change the color to red, okay, you know, I didn't even need to do that because we've done that already. So you can see like the same logo can work in red and black, still on a white background. Yeah, the same logo can work as red and white on a black background. The same logo can work as white and red on a black background. Same logo can work as white and black on a red background. The same logo can work as black and white on a red background. It can work as complete black on a white background. This is complete white. The background is not black and I don't know why. So I'm just going to make it black so you can see, right? Complete red on a white background. It can work as complete red on a white background as well. Now look at this, all right? This logo is going to work well on this. This design is very simple. I just put an image with background, image on the background with a black overlay and the logo is on it. And you can see the logo very, very clearly. When I say very, very clearly, I mean, it's unmistakable. There's no elements that's so difficult to manipulate that you cannot achieve the exact same thing every single time. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So here, same logo, working well on a picture as a matter of fact. All right. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right. If anyone doesn't understand, please speak now so that
Very well.
come again.
We understand very well.
Okay, good. All right, so I'm just going to proceed with the assignment with the explanation I was giving. Cool. All right. So now, if we want to achieve the exact same thing with this logo, what do we need to do? Right. First of all, we need to remove this background. If we're retaining this, okay, what we will need to do is it's not going to have, okay, this is color gray, right? Another thing is, now look at this. Okay, let me zoom in. All right. Okay. It looks very well aligned. right? Same thing, very well aligned, same thing, very well aligned. Now, as you can see now, it feels like this edge is too tiny, all right? So what you need to do is increase the size of this, of the rectangle, so that there is space after the text, all right? While you're retaining the, and I like how you did here, I can see the distances are they equal? Almost, yeah, almost equal. I think they are, right? So now I'm just going to move this, all right, and bring this to the center. Why is it not snapping? Okay, yeah, it's in the center now. All right, now I'm going to enlarge it, okay? All right, so I'm just going to retain this size for everything, all right? And I'll keep the space between them the same. Okay, the same way I always keep the space between them the same, all right? Okay, so, and I said I want to make them the same size, so I'm just going to duplicate this. How am I duplicating it without pressing duplicate? As I click on this, I'm pressing my option on my Mac or Alt on Windows and drag. So once you click and drag, it's going to move. If you don't want it to shake like this, press Shift down. It's going to stay on the same line. Do you understand? If you remove Shift, this is what's going to happen. If you press Shift down, it's going to stay so that your alignment is not going to scatter. All right. So I'll drag this to the middle. Nice. And then the exact same thing here. So I'm just going to duplicate both of them together so that I don't need to use the ruler one more time. I'll press Shift down so that nothing happens. Okay. And then I'll keep this in the middle, nicely aligned. All right. Your alignment is everything. Your alignment is everything. All right. So now I've selected everything. I'll align it in the middle. All right. Now, the second thing that I'll have to do is this E in the middle, right? Another thing that I also think would be good as a personal suggestion would be, because when you think about your logo, I don't want you to think about your logo just as what it looks like. Think about it in how it's going to be applied. Like, because you're going to use your logo in different places. You're going to use it on paper, you're going to use it on social media, you're going to use it on, imagine this is your whole logo like this, right? Imagine it was on a social media ad, and then you were going to put the logo at the bottom of the page, right? Like this. All right. Typically, you put your social media, you put your logo maybe somewhere under on the social media banner, somewhere here, maybe here, right? Or here. But let's just say here. All right. You can see how inconspicuous the EMO is looking in the sense that you can't really see it. All right. So what you want to do is reduce the height of this. Okay. I'm pressing Alt while I'm selecting, so it's moving both up and down. All right. And then for this, another problem with this text is that it has two outlines. Okay. So when you have a situation like this, now, because, and like I said, for example, this design can work very well digitally, because as long as it has this background, if you put an image, for example, you put an image here, all right, and you need to use this logo on it, right? All you need to do is drag this to the back and your logo will show because the background is there, right? The challenge is then going to come in when you need to use this exact same logo outside outside a printing platform. For example, if you're going to engrave this logo, right, what is going to show? Do you understand? So what you need to do is you need to make it simpler. All right. How do you make it simpler? You need to convert it to a basic text. I'm sure this person used that fancy text that's similar to one of these easy texts here, right? The challenge with many of these type of texts is that they will not work well when you have to reproduce your logo in different durations. Okay, so I need to be faster. Permit me to move really quickly. All right, so let me see if there are any effects. All right, so use the effects, the splice effect. So I'm just going to remove no. Okay. Okay, so I don't think there was an effect. Okay, so let's just keep it at none, right? None and none. All right. Now I'm going to change the color of this to, let's say, white. All right. And either make this the previous color we had, which was like dark red, okay, or the gray. Or if you want to use both colors, you can do something like this, okay? Or you can alternate it. But alternating it seems weirder, so I feel like it's just nicer to use one nice color. All right, depending on what the thought process is or what the idea behind it was. Now, why am I doing this? Your logo is much simpler. If we had the same logo, right, at the bottom of the page, for example, like we did the last time, okay, your EMO is more conspicuous. Can you tell the difference between what it is now and what it was before? Please, somebody should answer me, I beg.
Yes.
All right. So that's very, very, very important. You want your logo to be very visible, even when it's really small. Okay. So, and many times it will mean making your logo simpler. All right. So please don't forget, this is very, very important. All right. So moving from this to this, you can tell the sweetness is now sweeter. Now, if you are going to engrave this, it's very obvious what's going to come off. What part is going to come off when you're engraving? The red part. And then you're going to have your E and you're going to have this white space as the bolder part. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right, good. Now, let's move on to the next one. This is very sweet. I love it. EMO. Very sweet and delicious. All right. You can see how this logo is not going to have any problems. If you're going to use it in a small version, wait, this is supposed to be letter mark, right? So this is more like a combination of letter mark and word mark. All right. Okay. So, but basically, let me just judge the design, right? It's really simple, very straight to the point, no drama. My suggestion would be if you used Bodoni for the letter mark, right? Use a different font for these names. Okay, you don't want them to be competing. All right, so you want to change this font to either something basic. Well, yeah, so I'll suggest something basic to also create some contrast. All right, so you either want to use you want to use maybe a nice sans font. All right, notebook sans, open sans light, robot sans. So let's just say, let me duplicate this before I manipulate it. Let's just say clear sans, right? Okay, and then, right, so the contrast is better, all right, between this text and this. Okay, another suggestion would be to increase the size of this, all right? Now, this way, right, what's going to happen is the EMO is obviously the most conspicuous, right? And this is kind of like an explanation of what it is. The way this is, right? Your eyes are not focusing on anything. It's like there's no heading and there's no subheading. Okay, but this way it feels like this is the obvious heading and this is the subheading. I don't know if you get me. Creating hierarchy.
Yes.
All right. So, and then another thing you might just also want to do is to reduce the size of this so that instead of 3 lines, you have 2 lines. Okay, it just makes it much simpler and more compact. And then you might just want to reduce the letter spacing just a bit. Okay, so you can work like this, or if you want the other way, you can work like this. I prefer this because it's more compact. Now, the good thing about this kind of logo is you can have it in different versions. In what do I mean by different versions? You can have one that looks like this, right? And then you can have it in the landscape version where you have this in the center, and then you have this, right, left aligned, and then you group everything together, and then you centralize. Okay, let me remove this so that I can centralize properly. All right, so I'll just group this and centralize. Right, so the same logo, different arrangements. All right, so that's making a logo versatile. All right. This is pictorama, obviously. So for this, there's a color clash, very, very huge color clash. So you either want to make this, you want to make this a,
Is this space?
come again?
No.
Okay, you want to make this either, sorry, you want to make this heart. It's possible. I'm just showing you options, right? Options. It's possible to make this blend with red, right? So this is like very, very conspicuous, and maybe use a brighter shade. All right. So that's very conspicuous. Okay. Or if you want to use two colors, right? You can use two very contrasting colors. Change this to something darker, right? Like blue. Or if you're using red, if you want to use red, you can still use red or use a darker shade of the red. All right. And maybe, all right. And then this should be a lighter shade of this color, whatever the color is called. Okay. So you can see the contrast. All right. Now this will work very well in white and black because, I mean, just looking at it this way, right? If it's black and white, you just change the color of this to black. Then you have this in white. All right. Very nice and simple. If it's a red background, it's still going to show very clearly, right? If it's a blue background, right, you can change this to blue, just so that you just have that uniformity. All right. Now, there's another thing that you want to be able to do with your logo, right? Because Canva is okay. Let me. I'll get to that later. All right. So this is abstract. The abstract logo. All right. Obviously, I'm finding it hard to figure out what this is, but it's obviously abstract, right? But what you can do is to make this look more, aesthetically appealing, right? You can, and I like the alignment, very, very low. Look at it, very sweetly well aligned. I love it. All right. So for something like this, you just have to really play around. I don't know if I can make sense of this, but it's a good attempt. All right. And then what you can do is, if you're doing stuff like this, you want to ensure that this thing is the same thickness with this. Okay, so how would you do that? Rotate this to ensure it's at 0. Drag this to this place, to the edge here, right? Zoom in, and then make this slimmer. Okay, you can't make it slimmer, so you just need to reduce this here. All right, drag it up, and then make this to be the exact height of that, such that it feels like there's no difference. Okay, so just a little more. Too much. Just a little more. Okay. So this requires a lot of attention, right? And you need to put the attention because that's what's going to separate you from a basic designer. All right. So now we are sure that it's very smooth. Okay, as you can see. All right. So I'm just going to delete this and duplicate this. Okay. And be on the same edge, right? Now, what you want to do is, if you want to rotate this, for example, to, let's say, 30 degrees to achieve what you're trying to achieve. You're obviously going to have a slight issue here, blending this. So you just need to be very, 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 very tactical about ensuring that you move this right onto this edge. Okay. Okay, this is really hard to do, but it's not impossible.
Hi, sorry, David.
Yeah.
Yeah, is it possible to affect only one edge of a shape? Like it's possible in Illustrator.
Like what edge? Like how do you mean?
Like that edge that they are on right now. Can you like increase the height while it's not affecting that
Like
edge?
this?
No, just one edge of it. You know the edge of a shape.
Like here?
The vertex. The vertex.
Come again, the what?
The vertex.
This.
No, the vertex, like
Okay, this corner here.
let's say a rectangle now. The edge of the rectangle.
Okay, this corner here.
That's that single part, yes. Can you
Oh, okay,
change?
okay. No, you can't. No, you can't, not on camera. All right. So, well, you actually get to learn to work with the limitations, right? But it's not so obviously doing something like this might not be very feasible. All right. So you want to ensure that anything that you have to do, you want to ensure that it's as seamless as possible. Okay. So if it means changing your idea altogether just to achieve something that is seamless as opposed to this, then you obviously have to figure out a different way to do it. Okay. But I think I've made some good comments about this. Any questions on this so far before I move on to the next one? Another thing, like the good thing about this kind of logo also is you can always change the colors. If it's on black and white, this is black and this is white. If it's on white and black, this is white and that is black. Okay. Any questions before I proceed? No questions. All right. So
Okay, for us to ask where she got the image from.
which image?
The female head.
Should be in elements.
Okay. Thank you.
And then elements. All right. All right. So let me proceed on to the next one. Okay. Yeah, I was going to make comments about this, right? What's the first problem that's happening with these documents right here, right now? I need someone to say something.
Alignment.
Yes, the alignment implies seemed like a very neglected orphan. All right, and see the problem that's happening here. You are on center align when this document, this box is actually left aligned. So you just want to change this to left aligned and you're done, right? The second challenge is that hierarchy in itself, right? This design doesn't display hierarchy because hierarchy means emphasizing something while unemphasizing the other thing. So what would look more like hierarchy would be, imagine doubling the size of this, right? Increasing the size of this, and then all of these ones are small. Okay, that's more like hierarchy. All right, do you understand this? Am I understood? I hope I did not miss, I didn't.
Yes.
Okay, and then another thing, your name, right? Let it be on this edge here, on this corner here like this. Look at, can you see how this box? Please, I need everybody to reply me if you can see this pink box around.
Wait, I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
I
can.
can.
You need, that box is going to guide you in all your designs, right? Your alignment is almost everything, okay? So please pay attention to your alignment. All right, so I'm done with this, right? Next, tracking. Same challenge here. First thing we do is left align it, and we're almost done. Same thing here. Now, You see, the problem with this text is there's space here, there's space here. When you want to align it, you now have to start doing things like this. Okay. What you can do to avoid things like this is just make your text box as small as the text, left align it. Okay. Can you see the difference between left aligning it and not left aligning it? When you do this, even if you align this box, the text in it will not align. So you need it to be left aligned so that it will align directly and flush with the edge that you're trying to align it with. All right. Can you see the difference?
Yes.
All right. Now, another thing you can see here, you can see very clearly here that even though I've left aligned this box, right? You see this space, there's one space here that's making this thing look unaligned. So watch out for those things. And this thing is perfectly aligned. All right. So please look out for those things when you have space in your when you press space bar in your designs, or if you copy and paste, many times you leave one space. So ensure that you remove that space so that when you're aligning it, everything is sharp. Same thing with this one. You can see how these things are not aligned. All right. So these two are aligned with this, obviously, and I love it, right? But these two are just hanging in there. What do you want to do? First of all, align everything to the left, number one. Number two, just come to position, left align, and then drag them together, and you're done. All right. And then another thing that we might be having issues here is space. Okay, they're too close to each other. All right. Another thing that we might be having issues here also is hierarchy. Hierarchy in what sense? This and this are almost very close, right? It's kind of like a mix of hierarchy and contrast. So if you want to do this, make this either not bold so that you can see the contrast very clearly, all right? And then give it good space between the text, okay? Either you do this, or if you want to keep it bold, reduce the size. Okay, so just let's leave this at 20, for example. Okay, not 800, 20. Okay, so either of the two will work, just to ensure that you have some nice separation. And another thing, like I mentioned earlier, if you are doing this, what size is this? What's the size of this font? What's the size of this font? The size of this font is size 30, open sans light bold, right? If I come here, size 30, open sans light bold, right? It needs to be uniform every single time. So if I open one page and one is 32, I open one page, one is 25, we are not keeping it uniform, all right? And then you can see how I'm aligning this text to ensure that everything is very well sharpened, all right? So here, best thing also, reduce this thing so that there's no stress on this end. And if possible, bring it down, right? So that it starts from this lower edge and goes up just a little, okay? That way, we are keeping these things on all the different edges, all right? Alignments. And the main problem with this design is alignment. All right, so just drag this up as always. All right, align this to the left. Okay, aligned, not aligned. Very well done. And you're good. Now it looks as if the space here is so much more than the space here. There's a rule that I did not have to explain, but you need to take note of it, and it's like balance. All right, balance in your design, ensuring that there's balance. When there's too much space in one place and there's less space in another place, when there's too much color in one place and there's no color in another place. Sometimes you need contrast, right? There's a fine balance between having contrast and creating balance. All right, so in this case, because we need good hierarchy, we need to separate this from this and from this. Okay, so instead of doing this, bring this closer, because why? These ones are together, just to create the group nature of the different items. All right, so I'm just going to delete that. Nice, wrong, right? Bold. All right, left align. All right, rotate to 90 degrees, and then keep it in the corner every single time. Okay, and then I like his design, by the way, very nice. And then okay, or you can just bring it up because it feels like the space is too much. okay, because you don't have a lot of text here. And that's what I was referring to when I mentioned balance. All right. If we brought this and just brought it down here because we're trying to keep to this corner, then all this space is just going to look like we don't know what we're doing. Okay, so just bring it up a little so that our page feels filled. All right. Scripts, same problem here. Bold, left align everything so that there are no stories. All right, and then take this down. Nice. Right. Another thing for this kind of thing, because you have a lot of space here, it's better to just keep them on one line instead of spreading it out and allowing the space to dry out like this. So, and then grouping them together so that they don't feel too weird. Now, another thing is you can see the hierarchy is having issues because this is the exact same type of font with this, which is a problem. All right, this is supposed to be body copy, header, and then this is supposed to be like a subheader because we are describing something on that. So either make this bold, increase it just a little, maybe 35. All right. Same thing here, bold, 35. All right, left align, just because, left align as well. All right, and then we are good to go. Okay, then we can increase this all together. All right, or reduce it actually because it feels like it's not competing. Okay, so good. All right, monogram, very, very nicely done, right? No stories, DM. And like I said, is replicable on almost any possible platform. All right, if you are tired of this and you want to change the color, you know what to do, change the color and everything changes. All right, so this is very nice, very simple, very straight to the point. Okay, exactly, this is letter mark. Okay, and I like this. My only suggestion would be to increase the space just a little, right? Because it's really, really, really long, right? But right now it's actually very clean. And then just because I like to keep my text, I like to, okay, so it's actually on the edge already. All right. And then, so what do? Reduce the size of this. So the space up here, so I'm just going to drag this. I'm just going to I removed the space that was up there and I brought it down. All right. So yeah, there we go. Position, center is already center aligned. So I'm just going to break this again, right? And then centralize it. So just that tiny space to just increase it a little. This is very nice. DM design morph, right? Very nice. Now, this is, what's it supposed to be? What's the third one? Remind me. Pictorial mark, right? So obviously we can see there's a butterfly, right? Design morph. I like the synergy, right? And with these kind of things, you can work in different ways, right? You can either have on group, you can have this in another different form of arrangement, and then it's already a combination mark. Okay, so this is already a combination mark actually. If you wanted to go strictly by the assignment, you just have this because as your pictorial mark, and it's a butterfly, obviously, right? Which works fine. But I mean, this is a good combination mark, like we described to you already. So this would be your pictorial mark, which is really straightforward and simple as well. Same design, it can work on a different background entirely, right? Exactly what I was trying to explain earlier. So obviously, apart from working on the space, so you just need to copy this from here. So copy this from here, right? Paste here to ensure that's the same size. So imagine that we're having it on a red background, for example, right? I wouldn't suggest to use this black. I won't suggest to use this color. We'll probably just change it to black because we want it to be as sharp as possible. Okay. All right. If it was a blue background, right, we'll probably have everything in white because black isn't a good contrast on blue, dark blue, sorry. So we'll actually just keep everything white for the sake of the background that we have. Okay. If it's a different color, like maybe yellow, for example, right, we can keep one white and keep one black because they will both show on the logo. Okay. Do you understand how we're making these decisions based on contrast and how visible the logo will be on the background?
Yes.
Good. All right, thank you. Then, okay, so we've done this. Now, this is abstract logo, right? I like the abstractness, although it looks kind of like XMD, right? But then it's still an abstraction because it's not really anything that you can lay your hands upon to say, oh, this is what it is. All right, so I like this. It's a nice abstraction. Very well done. Yeah, this is a combination mark already, text and the abstract like I described today. Okay, same thing here. The only challenge, like I said, is the color of this, right? If it's going to be on black, it means that you are going to have to change the color of this. Or if you are using it on any design, you need to ensure that the background you're going to use it on is not this dark, okay? So for example, if it was yellow, it would work perfectly, right? So and you have to change this, of course, because you're trying to blend it. Now, the solution to this kind of thing, for example, if you have something like this, obviously it looks like this is space, but the idea behind this was just changing the, so now what you have to do for this is you change the color of this to the color of the background. Imagine a scenario where we are using it on a surface and we can't change the background. You know what to do. You download it as an image. For example, let's say if you so you choose the different variations in which you want to have your logo, right? So let's say, for example, I'm going to change this color to something brighter just because for the sake of this example, okay? Something that will show well on black and white, all right? So let's say this is a black background, all right? And this is black, right? Okay, now, if I wanted to work with this, what I'll do is I'll download this image. All right. How do I download it? I'll download it as a, depending on what you, okay, so this is obviously a free version. So I'm just going to download page 9, clear all, download only page 9, done, then download, right? When I download it, I'm going to go to remove the BG to remove the background. All right. And then what I'm going to have is like a PNG version of what I have. If you have the paid version, you actually just need to, right, so you can see my logo has come out without the background now, right? So I'm just going to download HD. Okay, I need to pay for this. So I'm just going to download the free one. All right. Now I have my logo in as a PNG file. All right. And you can work on any background as long as I'm ready. All right. So let me show you how this works. Cool. So here is my logo. Okay. So obviously, if you are going to do if someone paid you to do this, right? Because you can see this is pixelated. So you want to make sure that you do it in a high definition version. So please, if you want to do that, pay for Canva, remove the background on Canva so it will be high quality, or pay for remove the BG. Not everything in life is free. Okay. So just so that you give your clients the very best. All right, but I'm just showing you how to do it when you're ready to do it. Okay, so there we go. So if you change the color of the background now to gray, you can see that the background is adjusting automatically. Okay, do you understand this? Is this complex? Is there anything I've missed out? Did you lose anything at any point?
Sorry.
All right. Okay, I've made so many changes to this thing. Okay, so I'm just going to keep this as another page. Okay, so yeah, that's it. Next, LBO, right? I really like this, actually, very sweet. And I like this twist. Very, 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 very nicely done. Whatever the, oh, I've commented already. Whatever the idea behind it was. Okay, right? So LBO, right? This is nice. Now remember, the exact same thing is happening here, what I just described, right? Where you have this. So what to do for this, you know what to do. Change the background, download the image. Now, you see this your image, right? I've told you always where to keep it at this exact corner so that it suits. Another thing that I forgot to say is, or that I forgot to do to make it much easier, enlarge this thing to the largest possible size so that I can get the highest quality possible. Okay? Because it's based on pixels. The more pixels, the sharper the image will be. Okay? So I'm just going to hold this, right? And download this image as a PNG, page 1. And you'll see that the difference is actually clear because it's going to be sharper. All right. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing, remove the BG. Okay, just to show you something else, that was a mistake I made. I should have made that logo as large as possible before removing the background. Okay. So you can see this is done. Now I'm just going to import it into my okay. I'm just going to import this into my Canva. All right. All right. So there we go. Okay. So whatever I change the color to, my logo is going to change. So if I'm going to do something like this, obviously it means I'm going to have to change. I'm going to have to do this for every single color. So I'm going to do this for the white version, depending on what my brand colors are. All right. I want you to design your logo first before you conclude on your colors. All right. Because that's what I do personally. I design the logos first. I ensure that they work well in black and white. If they work well in black and white, they work well in color. Okay. So ensure that your logo works well in black and white. You can add the colors later. Okay. So we're still going to get to colors, choosing the color palette and all of that. All right. So Lamodi, same thing. I like this actually letter mark on points, right? You can add extra elements if you want, but I like this. This consistency is really sweet. Okay. For the same logo style. Very nice. Yeah. This is actually a pictorial mark, right? Except it's not going to work as a logo because it's an image. So you want to ensure that this is a vectorized image that can be represented, that can be re-represented. So probably use something more icon related instead of an image, all right? Because you want it to be replicable in different versions, okay? Abstract image feels like a sailor at sea, but it's abstract and I mean, it has served the purpose for which it's supposed to serve, right? So my suggestion would be make this, okay, my suggestion would be, if possible, make this seamless, right? Okay, I don't know if that's possible because, exactly. So this would be nicer, right? So it looks like it was the same. So it looks like, okay. You understand what I mean, yeah? So that it doesn't look like there's space in between. All right. This is very tricky. I can just move it up a little. Done. Right. So position, center, we're good to go. Right. This looks much nicer than what we had before. Okay. So pretty much that. Okay. Changes have been saved. Next. Letter mark stroke abstract. All right. It's supposed to be one of the following, right? So it's supposed to be letter mark, supposed to be word mark, letter mark, right? Letter mark is Imran. Okay, so Imran, first, the assignment was to do the first 4, right? So I think you've gone ahead to do some other ones that weren't discussed in last class. So please don't forget to add them, right? First of all, so this is a nice abstract design, actually, except that it looks like I can clearly see that it's not properly aligned because this size is looking bigger than this. How do we sort that out? Very simple. Now you can see that all of these are in front. So what do we do? Change the position, come to position, to back, okay? And then we can select this. What do we do to this? We simply align this to the middle and it's aligned. Okay. Your alignment is very important, right?
David, please, I have a question.
Okay.
What if the idea is not for the work to be aligned?
Well, if it's not going to be aligned, then it should be balanced.
Okay.
You understand? It's possible that the idea is not for it to be aligned, right? So if it's not going to be aligned, then it'll be balanced. For example, let me show you something. Let me create a new design, right? Imagine that I'm creating a new design, okay? And let's say I'm going to have 3 circles. No, let's say 2 circles, right? Okay. One circle this big, right? The other circle small. Okay. Now this is my design, right? This design is balanced, right? Even though you can still see that there's some kind of angular alignment. All right. Imagine that I wasn't aligned. Okay. And I had this. Imagine I even had another extra one, right? Small one here, right? There's no particular alignment here, but you can see the balance, right? Now, duplicate and imagine that I had the same design, right? And I just have them scattered all over the place, right? Except of course, I plan to have some text here or do some things here, but this doesn't feel as balanced as this. Do you understand?
Yeah, yes, I do.
Exactly. So if you are not going to use alignments in your overall design, there needs to be balance. You understand that, yeah?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So yeah, done. Imran Shitu architecture firm. So this is emblem logo that I discussed today. We are pretty much a really nice emblem logo. Maybe the only problem here is just the space. So if you can bring this up a little so we don't feel too detached from each other. All right, and then centralize. Okay, she's centralized already. All right, really nice. This is a mascot, except it's a picture. So you can't use a picture as your mascot. It needs to either be like an illustration or a painting or an abstraction. When I say abstraction, I mean a simplification of something that exists. Okay. So you can't use an image for your mascot. And if it's a mascot, then you most likely won't have this there. All right. This is combination because you have your mark and then you have your text. All right. Which is a really nice logo. Okay. So my only suggestion for this would be make this maybe this big so that this doesn't swallow this up and you can't even tell what it is, especially if you have, for example, this exact same logo in a smaller size, right? If we had it as small as it was, you won't be able to see the Imran. All right. Do you understand all the comments I've made on this?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
So another logo, NT, letter mark, nice. Make this bigger, all right, just so that you can fill the page. That was too tiny on an artboard that is this big. Okay. NTech, now it feels like there are 2 different fonts. Okay, so if you're going to have the same logo, you want to use the same exact type of font. So this is public sans bold, right? This should also be public sans bold. Okay, for the sake of uniformity. All right. And then if you're going to do that, then this would most likely be like this. So you have to remove this. That's if this is the idea of having the exact same logo in a different format. Okay. If it's not the idea, then by all means discard what I said. 78.3. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to select this. Okay, and just some kerning to ensure that they're the dimensions are not good. Good. All right, so there we go. Right, this is your word mark. Okay, the abstract. Is this abstract or is okay? No. So this is pictorial mark, right? The pictorial mark, obviously, you can see that it's a coding shape, which makes sense, which is visible as a pictorial mark, really nice. And then this is your abstract, which is also really good. Now the challenge with this, like I said earlier, is if you want to duplicate this on different formats, for example, because of this background, funny, this should actually work, except it won't work with this. So if you want to do this, you want to delete that, right? Let me duplicate this so that I don't. So if you want to make reference to, so you can just delete that, right? Cut that. I'm going to paste it back, right? And then drag it to the end. And I like how you created your shapes yourself. Very nicely done. All right. The only suggestion will be to achieve some sense of uniformity, right? You can see some of these edges here are tacky. So you want to figure out what the problem was, right? So for this, watch this now, right? Watch this very carefully. Check what the angle is. It should be 90. Once it's 90, you stretch this out. What angle is this? 90, whatever it is, it wasn't 90. So drag them together. Make sure they're the same height. Okay. Now, when they're the same height, you can group them. All right. That's one. Okay. You can see that the angles are not 90. That's why this is happening. So ungroup this, turn this to 90 again, or 0, right? Then, and as a matter of fact, you don't even need to repeat this, right? Because you want them to be the same height. So just duplicate this. Okay, no. Instead of duplicating it, I'm just going to retain this. Use the same thing to keep it at 180. Keep this whatever this is. This is ought to be 0. Then this should be 180 as well. All right. Now, what I'm going to do is bring them down here so I can align them to this shape so they are the exact same height. Okay. Right. Same thing here. Same width and same height. Okay. Are you understanding what's going on?
Please, can you zoom out?
I should zoom out. Can you see it?
That's,
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So, but I needed to zoom in so I can like see it very clearly. Okay. So I'm just going to drag this to the left, right? Group them together. And then I have my second side. So obviously something's wrong. They're not the exact same size. So I need to figure out what went wrong. I'll ungroup this. Okay. Oh, I see. So there's a mistake here with this sizing because they are not the exact same size. So I'm just going to delete this, all right? I'll duplicate this. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to bring this here to ensure that it's the same size with this. All right, good. Now I'm going to drag this back and then duplicate this again and then rotate this. I need the other one to be, okay, so I'm just going to do this, right? Rotate. Keep, now you can see how I'm using my alignment to ensure that they're the same height and the same size. All right. I'm trying to get the other side of this. Let me duplicate this. All right, so there we go. Okay, 180. So I have this sorted out. All right. Okay, so let me, sorry. So now I need to just figure this out and then rotate this to 90 again, right? What I'm trying to do is get this exact size so that okay, so there we go, right? So I'm done with that. So what do I need to do now? Duplicate this. Okay. Now because I've made sure that they're the exact same size, so I'm just going to delete this. Okay. Duplicate this. All right. Duplicate this too. Okay. And then I'm grouping these two together, grouping these two together, grouping these two together, grouping these two together. So I'm just going to separate them from each other a bit. Sorry.
I'm sorry, that's something I can't do.
Listen to message. Okay, so now I'm just going to do this for this side. All right, and then so I'm just going to select this two. Okay, so what you want to do is for this, just to make it a little more realistic, you can change the color of this to maybe a different shade. Right now, what this is going to do is going to make your logo more complex, of course, right? You might as well just make it a simple image, okay? So that when you're dealing with colors, you don't have too much stress. But in some cases, you know, I want to go the extra mile, and of course, feel free to do that, right? So let's assume that is this color. Okay, so it looks a little more realistic. Okay. And then you have this centralized, and then you're good to go. All right. So basically, yeah, that's it. So it's 10:30. I wish I had enough time. We'll work on I'll do a presentation on the different design styles on Wednesday. All right, but I'll send an assignment for the weekend on the group. I think I have one more assignment, one more design to go over before we close. I'm almost done. I'm so sorry, guys. We need to, like I said, first things first, follow Fabulous, rotate, okay, and then keep this at left aligned, okay, and then done. Follow Fabulous. I like this. I like this. This is supposed to be a letter mark, but this is like a word mark, right? So I requested for a letter mark and you gave me a word mark. Okay, but here, right? So the challenge is, for example, I mean, if you were going to design this, right, there's some designs where you can actually like do this thing where they join different texts together, except you have to stick to it all through. So what do I mean? If I'm going to do this, right, it means that instead of it looking like this, it will look something like this, right? A would join, like everything is going to be very similar. And you still see that okay, it will be something like this. Okay, if you want to do that thing where all the texts are joining each other, and then it's not going to be one, it's going to be everything. When you see here now, you can see that you have a letter spacing of -92. And then here you have a letter spacing of 0, right? So if you want to do that, you have to maintain the same letter spacing. Okay, and then drag this down. Don't forget this is a letter mark and not a word mark. All right, so now you've done this. All right, but if you want to do the thing where they have the exact same amount of spacing, you want to watch out and ensure that number one, your text is aligned, and number two, if you're having space between them, the space needs to be uniform all through. Okay, so for example, this, I need this to flush with the top here. All right, just to be sure, I can give myself a nice ruler to make sure that I don't miss out on anything. All right. Is everyone following? Do you understand what I just explained about the space and all of that?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Just because I want to be extra sure, I'm just going to give myself this ruler, right? And then I'll drag this up to ensure that it flushes with my base. Okay, that's number one. So I'm done with that, right? I'm just going to come down and do the exact same thing to ensure. So I'm going to try to use my eyes. Now, as you can see, it's affecting the upper part. So I'm just going to use my eyes to drag this up just a bit. If you need to get a mouse, do you get? Because there's some of these movements that you need to move like really, really gently to achieve. Okay, so we're almost there, right? So now this is achieved. All right, so obviously, if I'm going to do this, then we need to remove this line spacing back to 0. All right, just so there's some uniformity. Okay, and then right. Okay. All right. Do you understand why I did what I did? Okay, so you can have it in two different ways, but you cannot mix them because it's just going to be confusing. Okay. FF. Okay, so this is the word mark, right? FF, nice. Yeah, well done. You can also, I mean, you can also abstract this by rotating it, right? Say, what is this? This will be minus 90, right? And then I mean, this can work, right? And it's just going to be really basic and straightforward, but it also works because it's a letter mark, right? Another thing you might also want to do is invert the F, but you can't invert text. You have to download it as a PNG file. You have to download it as a JPEG, okay? Then remove the background remove the BG, right? Then import it as an image and invert it, okay? That's a long journey if you're interested in doing that. All right, so pictorial mark, flying, and then abstract mark, Adidas that went to Ojo Legba. All right. So, I mean, it works, right? And then, so don't forget to keep your name on the exact same spot on every single page and with the exact same format. So this is too close to the edge, okay? But this time you're supposed to rotate it. I'm going to move on from here because of time. All right. So I think I'm done here. All right. Any questions before we call it a day? It's 10:30 already. So don't forget you have 2 hours of one-on-one conversations with me, one-on-one mentoring or coaching or questioning or whatever it is with me. If you want me to review work in public, no problem. If you want me to read it in private, no problem. However I want it to do, right? Yeah, so that's it. Any questions before we close? No questions. All right, so we can call it a day. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night. I will put the assignment on the group. Obviously, the first assignment is going to be, if you didn't work on the remaining 3 types of logos, then do that. Hi, peace. I can hear you.
Okay, thank you, David. I wanted to ask, someone asked a question on the group, I think yesterday or the day before, about if the possibility of us having access to some of the videos, because I actually tried, I had saved some, then I tried to go back,
No
but I saw they were no
problem.
longer available.
I'll upload them back and share the playlist with you, with the group.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Any other question? Mary, can you hear me? Hello, Mary, I can't hear you. Hello? Okay, you can ask the next question on the group because of time. I can't hear you, and I don't keep everyone waiting. All right, so let me call it a day. Thank you, everyone. Have an amazing day. Bye.
Thank you, David. Bye.